Americans spent over $150 billion on gambling just last year. That's more than they spent on groceries. Sports betting apps are on every phone. Casinos are in every state. Lottery tickets at every gas station. So here's the question Christians have been asking for centuries. Is gambling a sin? Some say absolutely. It's greed. It's foolish stewardship. It destroys lives. Others say the Bible never forbids it. It's a personal decision. Context matters. Both sides have biblical arguments. Today, we're examining both perspectives. This question matters more now than ever. Online sports betting exploded in the last 5 years. DraftKings, FanDuel, BetMGM, they're spending billions advertising. And Christians are divided. Some say any form of gambling is sin. Others say there's nothing wrong with a friendly poker game or a $5 lottery ticket. Here's the tricky part. The word gambling never appears in the Bible, not even once. So how do Christians come to completely opposite conclusions? Let's look at both perspectives and what Scripture actually says. This is Two Sides Scripture. The first perspective says gambling is absolutely sin, even if the Bible doesn't use that exact word. The Bible is crystal clear that everything you own belongs to God. You're a steward, not an owner. The book of 1 Corinthians 4:2. Now it is required that those who have been given a trust must prove faithful. When you gamble, you're risking money God entrusted to you on chance. That's not faithful stewardship. That's reckless. Would you take your church offering and put it on a roulette wheel? Of course not. But why is your paycheck different? It's all God's money. This perspective says gambling treats God's provision carelessly. Why do people gamble? To get rich quick. To gain money they didn't earn. That's the definition of greed. 1 Timothy 6:10 says, "For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil." Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs. Notice, eager for money. That's gambling. You're not working for it. You're not earning it. You're hoping to get it through luck. And Paul says this eagerness for easy money causes people to wander from faith. The entire gambling industry is built on exploiting greed. Here's the practical reality. Gambling addiction ruins families. It causes bankruptcy, divorce, suicide. Proverbs 13:11 says, "Dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow." Gambling is the opposite of little by little. It's trying to get rich instantly, and Scripture warns against it. Even if you don't get addicted, you're supporting an industry that destroys millions of lives. This perspective says, just because the Bible doesn't say don't gamble, doesn't mean it's not sin. Murder isn't listed in the 10 Commandments by name either, but do not kill covers it. Finally, gambling says, I trust luck, randomness, chance to provide for me. But Scripture says, trust God. Proverbs 16:33. The lot is cast into the lap, but its every decision is from the Lord. Even when people gamble, God is sovereign. But that doesn't mean He approves. This perspective says gambling violates stewardship, feeds greed, destroys lives, and replaces trust in God with trust in chance. It's sin. The second perspective says the Bible never forbids gambling. It's not a sin issue, it's a wisdom and personal conviction issue. Here's the biblical case. Let's be honest, the word gambling doesn't appear in Scripture at all. God had no problem giving clear commands. Don't kill, don't steal, don't commit adultery, don't worship idols. If gambling were inherently sinful, why didn't God say, don't gamble? The Bible addresses greed, yes, but greed can happen with anything. Earning a salary, running a business, investing in stocks. That doesn't make those things sinful. This perspective says, don't add rules to Scripture that God didn't give. Think about it. Is flipping a coin to decide who goes first in a game sinful? No. Is playing Monopoly with fake money sinful? No. So why is betting $5 on a football game suddenly sin? This perspective says the act of gambling, risking money on an uncertain outcome, is morally neutral. It's the heart behind it that matters. Are you gambling because you're greedy and trying to get rich? That's sin, but the sin is greed, not gambling. Are you gambling irresponsibly with money your family needs? That's sin, but the sin is poor stewardship, not gambling itself. Are you addicted and destroying your life? That's sin, but the sin is idolatry, making gambling your god, not the act of betting. Here's something most people don't know. The Bible records God's people using lots, basically dice or random selection, to make decisions. Proverbs 16:33 says, "The lot is cast into the lap, but its every decision is from the Lord." The apostles cast lots to replace Judas in Acts 1. The Old Testament priests used lots to divide land. God didn't condemn this. In fact, He guided the outcome. This perspective says, if chance and lots were used in Scripture without condemnation, how can we say all gambling is sin? Romans 14 talks about disputable matters, things the Bible doesn't explicitly forbid, but Christians disagree on. The book of Romans 14:5 says, "One person considers one day more sacred than another. Another considers every day alike. Each of them should be fully convinced in their own mind." This perspective says, gambling falls into this category. If your conscience says it's wrong, don't do it. If you can gamble responsibly without greed or addiction, it's not sin. Don't judge others who come to a different conclusion. So that's the second perspective. Gambling isn't explicitly forbidden. It's a wisdom issue, not a sin issue. So how do we reconcile these two views? Here's the key. Both perspectives agree on the dangers. They disagree on whether gambling itself is the problem. Both perspectives agree that greed is sin, poor stewardship is sin, addiction is sin, and exploiting the vulnerable is sin. The question is, does gambling always involve these things, or can you gamble without them? The second perspective says, gambling is neutral. It can be done sinfully, but it doesn't have to be. Even if you hold the second perspective, that gambling isn't inherently sin, here's what's clear. 1 Corinthians 6:12 says, "I have the right to do anything, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but I will not be mastered by anything." Even if gambling isn't sin for you, ask yourself, is it beneficial? Am I being mastered by it? Is it causing others to stumble? And am I setting a good example? If the answer to any of those is no, don't gamble, even if it's not technically sin. So what do you think? Is gambling always sin, or does it depend on the heart? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe to Two Sides Scripture for weekly explorations of what the Bible actually says on controversial topics. See you next week. Both perspectives, you decide. Again, subscribe. Bye.